As the sun sets, Abigail spins gracefully in an empty theater, lost in her ballet practice. She doesn't know that a group of bad guys is planning to capture her at this very moment. In the shadows, a skilled hacker quickly turns off the security cameras at Abigail's home, while a sharp-eyed sniper takes position on the roof. Without suspecting anything, Abigail leaves the theater and gets into her car, driven by her trusted driver. Hidden from view, the criminals have already attached a small tracking device under the car. As soon as the car starts, the chase begins. The hacker, with a few clicks, unlocks the doors of Abigail's house. Quietly, 3 of the gang members slip into her room and hide behind the curtains and under the bed. Among them, a woman hesitates, realizing a child is involved. She doesn't usually agree to kidnap children and tries to protest. "Just deal with it," her companions insist firmly. Soon after, Abigail arrives home, tired from her dance. She goes straight to her room and collapses on the bed, unaware of the danger hiding in the shadows. Suddenly, the criminals make their move. One tries to hold her, but quick as a flash, Abigail grabs a pencil and stabs his hand. Another man quickly covers her mouth and starts to drag her away, while the injured man tries to hit her. The woman criminal steps in, stopping him from hurting Abigail more. Then, she quickly injects a sedative into Abigail, and the young dancer falls into unconsciousness. Outside, the rest of the gang waits anxiously. A lookout signals that a car is coming. The sniper keeps a watchful eye as the others put Abigail into a bag and make a quiet exit through a window. They run across the garden, but just as they join the sniper, the alarms go off. Luckily, their getaway car arrives just in time. They throw the bag in the back and speed off. During the escape, they check to make sure Abigail is still breathing and gently place a blindfold over her eyes. As they approach a busy intersection, the hacker tells the driver to avoid it. With a quick turn, the driver hides their van behind a large truck, narrowly escaping notice. Their destination is a spooky old mansion outside the city, where Lambert, the leader behind the plot, waits. They drag Abigail inside and handcuff her to an old rusty bed. Lambert gathers the crew, reminding them of the rules: no sharing personal details and no trouble among themselves. The gang has to guard Abigail until her rich father pays a huge $50 million. Lambert, the boss, is careful. He doesn't tell them who her dad is, but takes everyone's phones to stop any tracking. Before he leaves, Lambert gives each member a funny nickname from the famous Rat Pack, making the night tense but oddly funny. Once Lambert is gone, the mood lightens up a bit. The team raids the mansion's liquor cabinet and has a little party. Joey, who loves sweets, refuses to share her candy with Dean. Dean, always trying to act smart, tries to find out everyone's past. He fails, and Joey teases him. The gang, amused, bets to see if Joey can do a better job. Surprisingly, she does. By just watching their behavior and clothes, she figures out that Frank was once a detective. Peter is a not-so-smart mob enforcer. The rich hacker Sammy is in it for fun. Rickles is an ex-Marine sniper. And Dean's a crazy driver. Frank guesses that Joey might be fighting addiction. Soon after, Joey goes to check on Abigail, who is upset by the tight blindfold and painful handcuffs. With a gentle touch, Joey adjusts the blindfold and recuffs Abigail's hands in front of her to make her more comfortable. Abigail, tearful, is reassured by Joey that no harm will come to her. They just need the ransom. Joey, perhaps feeling motherly, shares that she has a son. This personal talk makes Abigail admit that her father might not even care enough to pay her ransom. Before Joey leaves, Abigail apologizes for what might happen next. Concerned, Joey returns to the group and shares her worries with Frank, suggesting that Abigail's father might be a dangerous man. Frank brushes it off as Abigail trying to mess with Joey's feelings. However, when the room is distracted, Frank slips away to check on the girl himself. To his shock, he finds her without the blindfold. Quickly covering his face, he shows his gun, demanding her silence about his identity. Under pressure, Abigail reveals her father is Christophe Lazar. Panicked, Frank rushes into the main room, declaring he's out. The gang demands an explanation. Catching his breath, Frank reveals that Abigail is the daughter of Christophe Lazar, a notorious and scary crime lord. The news sends a chill through the room. Joey and Rickles quickly understand how serious the situation is, sharing Frank's fear. They argue about what to do next. In the end, driven by a mix of fear and desperation, they decide to stay and wait for the ransom money, hoping it will help them escape and start a new life, far from the dangers they face now. They agree to keep a close watch, lock all doors, and monitor the old mansion closely. Later, Joey hears a strange noise and finds a window left open. While closing it, she notices an old statue of a father with his child, reminding her of her own situation. Suddenly, she bumps into Rickles, who tries to flirt, but quickly changes to say he doesn't trust the others. They agree to look out for each other. Meanwhile, Sammy finds a room with a TV but is scared when Dean suddenly appears, playing a prank. His attempt at flirting fails, and Sammy kicks him out. Dean, not discouraged, finds Peter asleep and childishly draws on his face with a marker. Wandering the house, Dean explores a dark hallway with old photographs, one of which looks like Abigail. His exploration leads him to the basement kitchen, where a door mysteriously swings open. Entering the room, he's startled by a rat, but as he turns to leave, something unseen grabs his leg, pulling him back. Hearing Dean's screams, Sammy rushes to the basement, only to find Dean sitting unnaturally at a table. As she approaches, his head gruesomely falls off, making her scream and vomit in horror. The rest of the gang soon arrives, quickly deciding that weak Sammy couldn't have done it. The gruesome scene reminds them of Lazar's hitman Valdez, known for his clean, ruthless kills. They recall the chilling story of Lazar's gang members found decapitated in a secure hotel room the day before their trial, with no clear way in or out. Spurred by fear and the scary turn of events, they rush to check on Abigail and find her unharmed. Fear grips Rickles as he realizes Valdez's deadly reputation might soon catch up with them. Panicked, he pushes the front door open, only to find a barred gate that wasn't there before. Peter tries to force the gate open, but it won't move, and his efforts accidentally set off a security system. Suddenly, shutters clamp down over all the windows, trapping them inside. Joey quickly figures out they're caught in a trap. Alarmed, Rickles goes to check his weapons stash, but it's gone. Worried and alert, Joey rushes to Abigail to see if she's seen anyone else. Abigail insists she's seen no one, but also shares some chilling details. Frank has threatened her, claimed he worked for her dad, and even said his real name was Valdez. Confused and scared, Joey regroups with Rickles to share what they've learned, but none of it makes sense. They decide to look for another way out. As Joey leaves to investigate a strange noise, she turns back to see Rickles standing oddly still. Approaching him, she's horrified to find he's been brutally attacked. His body collapses into her arms, and she gently lays him down before sprinting downstairs. Confronting Frank with fury, Joey accuses him of being the murderous Valdez and killing Rickles. Frank, defiant, draws his own gun and blames Abigail for manipulating Joey. He orders Peter to get rid of the girl. Just as Peter aims at Abigail, Joey bursts in and disarms. Sammy and Frank rush in, and a heated argument breaks out. In the chaos, Abigail slips off her handcuffs with ease and suddenly reveals her true nature with a swift ballet move. She's a vampire. She lunges at Peter, but before she can bite, Frank shoots her. Everyone freezes as Abigail, unharmed, rises with the bullet wound healing before their eyes. Joey fires at her too, but it's useless. The bullets have no effect. In a panic, they lock themselves away from her. Trapped and terrified, they realize that Abigail, not Frank, was Valdez all along. The mansion is a fortress, with doors locked by magnetic seals and windows covered by thick shutters. Sammy admits she can't hack them. As tensions rise, Peter pleads for calm, but Frank, pushed to his limit, grabs him threateningly to silence him. Tensions rise as Frank and Joey arm themselves with makeshift stakes from pool sticks, while Sammy searches the kitchen for garlic. Joey, however, is worried that hurting Abigail might make her powerful father angry. Prepared but anxious, they charge into Abigail's room, only to find it empty. Drawn by distant music, they follow the sound to another room where a chilling sight awaits them. Abigail is dancing with Dean's lifeless body. At first, Abigail pretends to be innocent, but she quickly drops the act when Sammy lunges at her with garlic, which has no effect. Frank tries to intervene but is easily pushed away, while Peter attempts to subdue her, only to be thrown aside. Abigail grabs the cross from Peter's neck and presses it against his chest, revealing another disappointment for the group. Crosses don't scare her either. In a desperate move, Frank tries to attack her from behind, but Abigail is too quick, disarming him and stabbing him in the leg. Defeated, the trio retreats downstairs where Joey tends to their injuries. Joey recalls that the sedative injection had worked during their initial kidnapping of Abigail, and they still have one left. They decide to split up, agreeing to communicate through earpieces, with Joey ready to use the syringe on Abigail once found. As they search the mansion, Sammy ventures down a neglected corridor and is startled by a swarm of bats. Her shock sends her tumbling into a pool, which, to her horror, is filled with decaying bodies. Struggling, she crawls out, covered in filth and dread. Meanwhile, Abigail catches Peter off guard. He flees in terror and manages to lock a door behind him, but Abigail is relentless, breaking through the door and continuing her chase. In a frantic moment, Frank accidentally strikes Peter, sending him tumbling down from a railing. The chase doesn't stop as Abigail then pursues Frank, pushing him down the stairs. As she pins him down, Joey seizes her moment, attempting to inject Abigail, but with a swift motion, Abigail knocks the syringe from her hand, sending it flying out of reach. Sammy intervenes, pulling Abigail back, but Abigail viciously bites her arm. As Abigail grabs Frank by the leg and tries to take off, Peter jumps into action, tackling her in mid-air and making her release Frank. Peter holds Abigail down long enough for Joey to grab the syringe and inject the sedative, stopping Abigail's taunts as she succumbs to the drug. Meanwhile, Sammy panics, fearing the vampire's bite might turn her into a vampire too. Moments later, Abigail wakes up, finding herself trapped in an elevator. Joey gives her a choice: reveal how to escape the mansion, and they'll let her go. Instead of offering a way out, Abigail shocks them by admitting she planned the entire ordeal, and that Lambert is just one of her pawns. She reveals personal details about each member of the group. Sammy started her illegal career by stealing money from her wealthy parents. Peter was the tough guy for a crime family who betrayed his own. Frank was a detective who became a criminal. And Joey, once an army medic, turned to illegal medicine after addiction ruined her career. Abigail claims each of them has wronged her father or his gang in some way. Joey retorts that Abigail's ruthless actions are a twisted attempt to earn her father's love. Abigail enjoys the thrill of the hunt, comparing them to prey in her cruel game, and offers freedom to only two as a twisted form of mercy. When Frank suggests they kill her to escape her games, Abigail coldly changes her offer to save only the one who helps her escape. Tension rises as Peter, desperate, pulls out his gun, aiming to free Abigail despite the risk. Joey and Frank quickly realize that Abigail's promises are lies, but Peter, driven by panic, ignores them. In a desperate move, Joey shoots Peter to stop him from releasing the vampire. The group, minus Peter, prepares to leave, but Frank stays behind, offering Abigail a deal. He will free her if she tells him how to escape the mansion. Cleverly, Abigail instructs him to find a book by Agatha Christie in the library that triggers a secret door. Frank cautiously thanks Abigail but refuses to let her go. Unfazed, she breaks the elevator door and lunges at him with a dancer's grace. Joey intervenes, tearing wooden planks from a nearby window to let the sunlight in. The beams of light burn Abigail's hand, forcing her to retreat into the shadows. Joey and Frank take the chance to escape. The group regroups in the library, bathed in sunlight from the high window Joey had opened. Sammy sighs in relief, realizing she won't turn into a vampire. Frank, following Abigail's hint, pulls on the Agatha Christie book she mentioned, but nothing happens. Frustrated, Frank loses his temper while Joey, out of candy and growing anxious, tries to break down the wall. Joey shares with Sammy that she left her son to clean up her life, hoping to use the job's money for a fresh start. A reset. This sparks an idea in Sammy. If they find the mansion's power source, she might be able to short-circuit the lock. The team splits up to search, but then, the haunting melody that Abigail loves fills the mansion again, taking control over Sammy via the vampire bite. Sammy transforms into a vampire and attacks Peter, draining him while Abigail taunts him through her. After feeding, Abigail delights in making Sammy dance like a puppet. When Joey and Frank later encounter Sammy, they're initially fooled by her concealed face. Her reveal as a vampire sends them fleeing, but Sammy chases them down. They find themselves back in the library, where Abigail, speaking through Sammy, reveals her hatred for the room. It's where her father turned her into a vampire. In a desperate move, Joey uses a tray to reflect sunlight onto Sammy, causing her body to violently explode. This grim event unexpectedly triggers a secret door to open. Although wary of another trap, Joey and Frank decide to venture through it. They navigate a corridor and stumble upon the mansion's control center and Lambert, who is also a vampire. Lambert confronts Joey, grabbing her by the neck and revealing he was turned by Abigail 2 years earlier as a consequence of his role in helping Frank infiltrate the gang. Lambert, now a vampire loyal only to Abigail's twisted games, reveals that he's been trapping her father's enemies for her. He tells Joey and Frank that he has already informed Lazar, Abigail's powerful father, about what's happening, and Lazar is on his way to the mansion. Wanting to eliminate both Abigail and her father, Lambert offers Frank a dark deal: become a vampire, and help him. Frank reluctantly agrees, and Lambert knocks Joey unconscious and turns Frank into a vampire by making him drink his blood. Joey wakes up just in time to see Frank's painful transformation. Once transformed, Lambert orders Frank to feed on Joey. Instead, Frank turns against Lambert, stabbing him with a stake and causing him to burst apart. As Lambert dies, Abigail bursts into the room, ready to attack, but Frank, now stronger, subdues her and begins to drain her blood. Joey seizes the opportunity, rushes to the control panel, and disables the mansion's security system. She grabs her phone and tries to escape through the secret corridor, only to find the exit securely locked. Meanwhile, Frank finishes feeding on Abigail and discards her lifeless form. In despair, Joey calls her son, leaving a tearful message on his voicemail, expressing her love and hopes to see him again. Suddenly, Frank confronts Joey, pushing her back into the library where he begins to violently throw her against the furniture. Joey tries to defend herself, but her human strength is no match for a vampire. Frank grabs her by the neck and throws her to the floor. At the last moment, Abigail, barely alive, intervenes, catching Joey. Weak but determined, Abigail pleads for Joey's help to defeat Frank, promising freedom in return, so Joey can reunite with her son. The two women band together against Frank, but he proves too strong, overpowering their effort. After a fierce struggle, he knocks Abigail aside and stabs Joey in the shoulder with the stake, pinning her against a pillar. Frank, driven by his new vampire strength, attacks Abigail again, biting her. In a touching gesture, Abigail raises her pinky to Joey, reminding her of the promise they made. Once Abigail is subdued, Frank frees Joey from the stake and bites her neck before throwing her to the floor. As Joey wakes up, Frank tries to use his vampire powers to control her, forcing her to pick up the stake and attack Abigail. However, Joey is only pretending to be under his control. Seizing the moment, she suddenly turns and pushes Frank, allowing Abigail to pounce on him. Abigail fights Frank, explaining that his powers haven't fully developed, so he can't control or turn Joey yet. While Frank and Abigail struggle, Joey quickly grabs the stake. Working together, she and Abigail overpower Frank, finally stabbing him, causing him to burst apart. After the fight, Joey fears she might turn into a vampire too, but Abigail assures her that won't happen, since Frank, her maker, is now dead. True to her word, Abigail lets Joey go, urging her to reunite with her son. Just as Joey starts to leave, she feels a hand on her shoulder. It's Lazar, Abigail's powerful father, revealing that he has gone by many names over the years. At first, he seems threatening, but Abigail steps in, defending Joey by saying she saved her life and kept her company when he wasn't there. Moved by this, Lazar shows his thanks by kissing Joey's hand and letting her go. With a sense of relief and a bit of normalcy, Joey returns to her van, where she finds a leftover lollipop. Enjoying this small comfort, she drives away from the mansion, leaving the night's horrors behind. Here, this movie story ends. Please consider liking, sharing, and subscribing.